Well, g'day Year 7s. Alright, today we are looking at converting between different metric units. When I say metric units, I mean things like millimeters, centimeters, meters, kilometers, and they actually go on. There are names for even bigger units of measurement, but we don't really need to worry about those. We just use different powers of 10, if you remember scientific notation, to represent those numbers. Anyway, this should be really short, only a couple of slides, so here we go. So we're simply today, as our learning intention, learning how to convert units of measurement from millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers in both directions. Okay? So just follow the cursor when I'm giving my explanations, okay? Alright, it all comes down to this diagram here. Now, if you are converting into smaller units, you follow the red arrows. If you are converting from a smaller unit into a bigger unit, you follow the blue arrows and the instruction underneath, okay? It's as simple as that. So if I want to convert 3 kilometers into meters, I have to multiply by 100. Follow the instruction that is along that arrow, okay? If I want to convert kilometers into centimeters, I have to multiply by 1,000 and then multiply by 100. So 2 calculations. Or, if you think about it a little bit more cleverly, you could do a single calculation, but multiply by, well, how many zeros do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is 10,000, okay? No, it's not. It's 100,000. Excuse me. So to get from kilometers to centimeters slightly quicker, rather than typing into your calculator times 1,000 and then times 100, you could just write times 100,000. Okay. All right. So here are some examples. And I barely need to go through them all because I think you understand probably the concept already. I'll go through some of these at least. So here we have been given a certain number of centimeters, 52.174 centimeters, and we have been asked to convert that into millimeters. Okay, so we go to our diagram, and our starting point is centimeters, our finish point is millimeters. So we have to get from centimeters to millimeters, and the only way to do that is to follow the arrow pointing in that direction, which is the top arrow. See how there's the arrowhead here? So we simply multiply 52.174 by 10, okay? And you can use your calculator or move the decimal place along, and you'll get your answer, okay? All right. Let's try one that takes a couple of leaps. We'll skip this one here. Let's have a look at this example. 28 kilometers. No, that's not one. Here we go. 28 kilometers, convert that into millimeters. Goodness knows why you would want to do that, but if you did, here is what you would do. We start at kilometers, we need to get to millimeters. So we write 28 into our calculator, times 1,000 equals, times 100 equals, times 10 equals, and we get the number of millimeters. Or, if you want to do it in one calculation, how many zeros do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what number that begins in 1 has 6 zeros after it? Well, that would be 1 million. So to convert from kilometers to millimeters, you could just type 28 times 1 million. But both options take about the same amount of time, so it really doesn't matter. And of course, you can go back in the other direction. Let me see if I can find an example. Okay, meters to kilometers. This one here. 416.8 meters into kilometers. Okay, so this is our start point, meters. Kilometers is our end point. We would write 416.8 into our calculator and then follow the blue arrow in this case. So we would write that number and then we would write divided by 1,000 equals, and we would get our answer, okay? And I really think if I go through any more of these examples, I might just be wasting your time. Perhaps just one more down the bottom here. 8.9 millimeters into kilometers. Another calculation you'd probably never want to do. So, millimeters to kilometers. 8.9 divided by 10, divided by 100, divided by 1,000 equals this awful number here. Okay? So that's just for the sake of practice. That's not a calculation you would normally want to do, because if something is 8.9 millimeters long, then millimeters are the appropriate unit. But this just goes to show that it is possible. In fact, I could convert 8.9 millimeters into some other ridiculous unit of measurement. For example, there's a unit of measurement called an AU, which is the distance from the Earth to the Sun, 1 AU. I could convert millimeters into AUs, so it works. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.